Okay, let's unpack this. You've probably seen them, right? Those little compressed discs
Yeah.
or folded up things,
Mm.
promising quick skincare.
Uh-huh. The compressed facial mask.
Exactly. We're doing a deep dive today into what turns out to be a surprisingly booming global market for them. Often kind of overlooked, I think.
That's right. And we've got some really fascinating source material here. It's a detailed market analysis, gives us a great snapshot.
Yeah. What's it cover?
Well, it looks at where the market's been, where it is right now, and maybe the most interesting part, where it's projected to head over the next, say, decade or so.
Okay, so our mission here isn't just reading out numbers. We want to take this data, these trends, and really figure out the story behind them.
Hmm.
Like, how big is this market really? How fast is it actually growing? What's pushing that growth? And crucially, where in the world is this trend really taking off and maybe why?
It's kind of like getting a peek behind the beauty industry curtain, you know? You get to see which trends, even seemingly small ones, actually have huge global momentum and understand the forces shaping, well, our skincare habits everywhere.
Absolutely. So let's start big picture. This isn't some tiny niche product anymore. The analysis shows it's pretty substantial and growing fast.
It certainly is. The global revenue numbers really spell it out. We're talking, what, $1,261.2 million back in 2021?
Okay, over 1.2 billion.
Yeah, and by 2025, that had already climbed to $1,800 million, so $1.8 billion.
And the projections, I heard they were pretty eye-opening.
They are. From that $1.8 billion in 2025, it's expected to just leap to an estimated $666.3 million by 2033.
Whoa, so more than doubling again in, what, 8 years? From 2025 to 2033, that's impressive.
It's a remarkable trajectory. The overall compound annual growth rate, the CAGR the source gives, is 9.3%.
9.3%, okay.
And just for context, sustained growth over 5% is usually seen as pretty strong. So almost double that over a 12-year span. That signals some serious market acceleration.
So what's lighting the fire under this thing globally? The source points to a few key factors, right? The engines behind it all.
Definitely. Number one, no surprise really, is just the huge global surge in interest in skincare. People everywhere are getting smarter about ingredients, more proactive.
Taking care of their skin.
Exactly. And adding more steps to their routines. Masks, especially these compressed ones, they just fit right in. They're convenient, often pretty affordable.
Yeah, like a quick treatment or just a little pampering session.
Precisely. And then you need the money to buy these things, right?
Right.
So rising disposable income, especially in emerging economies, that's a huge factor. As people have a bit more cash to spend, beauty and self-care just become more accessible.
Makes sense.
We-
What else? Brands.
Oh, absolutely. You've got the big global brands expanding their reach, plus strong local brands popping up, better distribution channels.
Getting the products onto shelves, online.
Exactly. And then there's constant innovation. New materials, different shapes, new fancy ingredients. It keeps things fresh and exciting for the consumer.
So it's like a perfect storm. Demand, money, availability, and new stuff to try.
You got it. Demand, affordability, access, and novelty.
Okay, that paints the global picture and the why. But, the world isn't one big market. The regional breakdown in the source, that's where you see how these drivers play out differently. That's where it gets really interesting, I think.
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. Where should we start? North America.
Yeah, let's do North America. It's a big, mature market, right?
Yeah.
Significant contributor.
For sure. The analysis shows solid growth. It went from about $355.7 million in 2021 to $493.2 million in 2025. And it's projected to hit $964.2 million by 2033.
So nearly $1 billion by 2033. What's the CAGR there?
It's 8.7% for the region, so like you said, slightly under the global average, but still very healthy growth for a developed market like this.
And the U.S. is the giant in the room there, obviously.
It is, yeah. Takes a lion's share. Started at $294.7 million in 21, projected to reach $790.3 million by 33.
Wow.
But it's interesting, you also see steady growth in Canada and Mexico. Canada's expected to more than double its market value from $37.1 million to $106.5 million. And Mexico shows similar proportional growth, $23.8 million up to $67.5 million. So the trend's definitely reaching across the continent.
Good point. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe, another major beauty hub.
Indeed. Europe's another really substantial market for these masks. It was valued at $304 million in 2021.
Right.
Expected to reach $850.6 million by 2033. And the CAGR here is 9.1%.
Ah, so slightly higher than North America. Closer to that global average.
Exactly. And the report breaks down key countries, too. You see solid growth across the board. UK, Germany, France, all expected to roughly double their market size by 2033.
Which one's the biggest in Europe?
Germany stands out. It was $52.9 million back in 2021 and projected to hit.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
It was $52.9 million back in 2021 and projected to hit $158.2 million.
Okay. Makes sense. Big economy, established beauty culture.
Right. But the source also flags interesting growth in places like Russia, Spain, even Luxembourg.
Luxembourg.
Yeah. Smaller numbers, obviously. But going from $8.2 million to $20.4 million, it shows the product type is gaining ground even in smaller, high-income places.
Yeah.
Maybe driven more by that convenience factor we talked about.
Yeah, lifestyle fit. Interesting. Okay, so just broad appeal.
No.
Let's pivot east.
Yeah.
Because the data suggests this is where the real action is, right?
Oh, absolutely. Asia Pacific.
Yeah.
It just dominates the global market completely.
Okay, give us the numbers.
Get this. $468.5 million in 2021, expected to reach a massive $135.4 million by 2033.
Whoa, 1.4 billion. That's
Yeah.
nearly 3 times the size of North America or Europe by then.
Exactly. And the CIGR tells an even stronger story. It's 9.9% for the region. That's the highest of all the major regions.
So not just the biggest market, but also the fastest growing.
Precisely. This region is setting the pace.
And within APAC, I'm guessing China's leading the charge?
Yes. China accounts for a huge chunk of that, growing from $201.6 million to a projected $624.8 million. Massive.
Huge.
But the real standout, the one highlighted for acceleration, is India.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the source points to India having the highest country-specific CAGR mentioned at 10.5%.
10.5%.
Wow. Its market is projected to just rocket. From $84.3 million in 2021 up to $277 million by 2033.
Okay, India is definitely a powerhouse to watch in this space. And you still see other big contributions from, like, South Korea and Japan to skincare hubs.
You do. Strong growth there, too, though maybe not quite as explosive as India or China. And Australia, Southeast Asia collectively. They're all adding significantly. It's clear APAC is driving the global trend.
It really underscores how, I guess, deeply embedded skincare is in many cultures there, right? Plus, huge populations, rising incomes.
Exactly. And these compressed masks just fit perfectly. Effective, convenient, accessible. It's a natural match.
Okay, what about South America? What's the picture there, according to the source?
South America shows really robust growth, too, just starting from a smaller base. Brazil is the leader there.
Makes sense.
Showing strong momentum, actually. 9.7% CAGR. Expected to grow from $27.7 million in 21 to nearly $100 million, $99.2 million by 2033.
Almost 100 million. Not bad at all. And other countries?
Yeah, similar positive trends in Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile. The numbers are smaller than, say, China, obviously, but the proportional growth is strong.
So it suggests that adoption is really increasing across the continent. Those self-care, skincare trends are definitely landing there.
Precisely. It shows those global drivers' income interests are very much playing out in South America, too.
Okay, last stop on our world tour. Middle East and Africa. What are the numbers telling us there?
This region is growing, definitely, but generally at a more moderate pace compared to the global average and the other regions we've discussed.
Slower growth.
Yeah, comparatively. The source actually highlights Egypt as having a notably slower growth rate. Its CAGR is 7.3%.
Okay, 7.3%. So still growing, but not like APAC's 9.9% or even South America's 9.7%.
Right. Egypt's market is projected to go from $6.8 million to about $16.5 million by 2033.
That slower pace in Egypt, maybe for the region overall. What do you think that suggests?
Well, it could mean a few things. Maybe those key drivers, income growth, the skincare boom, haven't hit quite as hard for this specific product there yet. Or maybe there are different cultural preferences, different market dynamics. Perhaps compressed masks just aren't resonating quite as strongly as in other places.
Fair enough. Different strokes for different folks, even in global trends.
Exactly. Markets like Turkey and the rest of the Middle East, they are contributing to growth. But the overall picture is more steady expansion, less of that explosive acceleration we saw elsewhere.
Okay, so let's tie all these threads together. We've mapped out this global market for compressed masks. It's not just growing, it seems to be accelerating pretty significantly. looking to more than double in value over the next decade or so.
And crucially, that growth isn't even, is it? It's really concentrated, powerfully so, in Asia Pacific.
Yeah, already the biggest market and also the fastest growing, fueled by giants like China and especially that rapid growth in India.
Right. Meanwhile, North America and Europe are, substantial, solid markets.
Yeah.
Consistent growth, reflecting mature but still expanding beauty sectors.
And South America showing really promising rapid growth, led by Brazil, just from a smaller starting point.
Uh-huh. And then the Middle East and Africa growing too, but just at a noticeably slower pace, suggesting maybe different factors are at play there compared to the rest of the world for this product.
It all comes back to those drivers you mentioned earlier, right? People wanting better skin, having more money to spend on it, and brands pushing new convenient options.
Exactly. But the regional differences really tell you where those forces are having the biggest impact for compressed masks specifically.
And why these masks specifically?
Right.
It feels like they're unique selling points, the convenience, the portability, often lower costs, that sort of mini spa ritual at home. That really clicks with global trends, doesn't it? Especially in places where life is fast-paced or people want quick, effective self-care.
Yes, I think the format itself is absolutely key. It's efficient, easy to store, simple to use, perfect for the modern consumer who wants results without a big fuss.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, we've got a compressed facial mask market set for massive global growth, driven by skincare-focused rising incomes, brand activity, but with its absolute powerhouse, its engine, firmly planted in Asia-Pacific.
It really highlights how dynamic the global beauty scene is and how specific product types can just capture the global imagination when they hit that sweet spot of consumer needs and economic trends.
Definitely. So here's a final thought to leave you with. Given the huge scale and growth rate we're seeing here, especially that concentration in Asia-Pacific, what might this specific market's path tell us about the future direction of the entire global beauty and personal care industry?
Sure.
Are compressed masks maybe a kind of leading indicator for broader shifts in what consumers want or where the industry focus might head next?
Interesting question.
Something to ponder next time you see one of those little tablets on a shelf.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's jump right in today. We're looking at something that might seem quite specific, the compressed facial mask market.
That's right. You shared some really interesting source material with us.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.
Market.
That's right. You shared some really interesting source material with us, excerpts from Compressed Facial Mask Market Dynamics. It's via Market Pulse Insights, based on cognitive market research data.
Yeah, and it gives a surprisingly detailed picture of this, niche corner of the beauty world. So our mission today, to unpack what's really going on there, the key forces driving it, the challenges, the trends pushing it forward.
Okay, let's do it. Where should we start? Maybe the drivers.
Sounds good. What's pushing this market?
Well, the report really flags the big surge in demand for personalized skincare. That's a major one. People are definitely moving away from like one-size-fits-all products.
Right. They want things tailored just for them, for their skin right now.
Exactly. And compressed masks, they kind of fit perfectly into that, don't they?
How so?
Because they're basically, a blank slate. You add the serum, your serum choice, based on what your skin needs that day.
Ah, okay. So it offers a customization level that, say, a standard pre-soaked mask just doesn't have.
Precisely. That flexibility is really key. And another driver the source mentions is just the massive growth of the beauty and self-care industry overall.
Especially in certain regions, right? I think it mentioned Asia Pacific.
Yeah, particularly strong there. And the report notes that spas, beauty clinics, they like these compressed masks.
Why is that?
Well, they're hygienic, single use, and convenient for professionals to just, grab and prep.
Makes sense. Simple product solves a practical need. The report also mentioned portability.
It did. They're super lightweight, easy to pack, good for travel, good for that minimalist, on-the-go lifestyle.
Which fits with a lot of current consumer trends.
And another big trend, sustainability. Many are made from things like cotton, bamboo, pulp.
Tapping into that eco-friendly demand.
Right. Aligning with consumers wanting greener options.
Okay, so we've got personalization, industry growth, portability, sustainability. Quite a few positives pushing it, but there must be downsides, restraints holding it back.
Oh, absolutely. The report covers those too. A big one is just, awareness.
People just don't know about them.
Pretty much. Especially in markets where, Traditional masks or creams are the norm. They might not know what a compressed mask is, or, crucially, how to use it.
That lack of awareness probably links to the next point the source made, doesn't it? That they aren't ready to use.
Exactly. You need that extra liquid, a serum, a toner, whatever.
Hmm.
For someone new to skincare, or maybe someone who just wants things fast, that extra step, it's friction.
It definitely raises that question, convenience versus customization.
It does, and the report points out that reliance on having other products handy. Plus, let's be real, the competition is fierce.
For the big established sheet mask brands.
Yeah, huge brands with massive recognition, big distribution networks, getting noticed, getting shelf space. It's tough for these compressed formats.
A real fight for visibility, then.
Definitely. But, despite those challenges, the market isn't just sitting still. There are trends helping it gain ground.
Like what?
The demand for natural and organic ingredients, that's influencing the mask materials themselves. Things like wood pulp, organic cotton.
So leaning into that clean beauty movement.
Right. And it becomes a differentiator. Also, interestingly, the report highlights smaller players here.
Indie brands, private labels.
Exactly. They're getting creative making these customizable DIY kits. You get the masks and specific serums to mix.
That directly plays into the mask's strength personalization.
Right.
And probably boosts engagement, too. It makes it more of an experience.
Totally. That indie innovation seems key. And going back to awareness, social media.
Yes. TikTok, YouTube.
Crucial platforms. You see influencers doing tutorials showing how easy the DIY aspect is, sharing tips.
Making it less intimidating, maybe? Especially for younger people who like that experiential, shareable beauty stuff.
Precisely. It helps demystify it and drives adoption.
Okay, so let's sort of recap our deep dive here. We see a market driven by some big forces. Personalization, industry growth, convenience in some ways, sustainability.
But facing headwinds like low awareness and strong competition.
Yet it's finding momentum through trends like natural materials, that indie brand innovation with DIY kits, and, of course, social media influence.
It really is a fascinating little snapshot, isn't it? Shows how these massive global trends wanting things personalized, sustainable, digitally influenced affect even simple products.
It really does. Which makes you wonder, how might these dynamics influence your own skincare choices in the future, or maybe just how you see innovation playing out in everyday items?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And maybe one final thought for you to mull over, drawing from the source. With these customizable kits and all the social media tutorials making DIY more accessible, what's the long game here? Is the future of accessible skincare leaning more towards user involvement, that hands-on personalization? Or, at the end of the day, will the sheer convenience of ready-to-use formats always win out?
That is definitely something to think about.
Well, thank you again for sharing the source material. It allowed for a really interesting deep dive today.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.